This is a quick video to familiarize yourself with the features of the Zoom video chat platform, from scheduling a meeting to operating inside of a meeting, all of the features that are available to us and our participants, as well as ways to limit the inappropriate participation of those in our meetings if that becomes an issue. So here we go. We're going to start by sharing the screen. And there we are. And you can see over here, this is the Zoom app. When you logged into Zoom, it should have downloaded the app for you. I'd recommend using it. Click a meeting, you just start a new meeting right away, join a meeting that's already in process, schedule a meeting, which is what we're going to work on right now. If we schedule a meeting, this is what pops up. This where you give your meeting a title, if it's a class, what class it is, date and time, how long you estimate it will take. You're not limited by this. It's just an estimate for those who are involved in your chat meeting to have an idea of what they're getting themselves into. If it's going to be a recurring meeting, you can set that up. Meeting ID, I leave it at generate automatically. Therefore, each individual meeting gets its own unique ID. It doesn't use your personal one all the time. This is good for virtual office hours, post that, but otherwise each individual meeting or class session should have generate automatically. I don't require a password, although you could. Let's see, your video's on when the meeting starts. I recommend that. You can have your participants on or off with their video when they enter. I like to have them on. That's a preference thing. I recommend just use computer audio. We're not using the platform for someone to just call in necessarily, although if you become aware of someone, then that can be something, but I usually use it just computer audio only. If you wanted to go on one of your calendars, that's there. And then some advanced options for you. Enable a waiting room so that when someone comes into the meeting after it started, they are in a waiting room, and then you have to let them in if that's something you want to allow. You check that. If not, then they just pop in. Enable the people to join before you get there. That's if you like that idea. If you're running a little late, they can already be in there when you arrive. That's fine. Check that or uncheck it if you don't like the idea of the meeting starting possibly without you. New participants on entry, I like to keep that checked so that when someone joins, you don't get all of the background noise from them when they join the meeting. Then they can unmute themselves as they participate. Authentication, I don't worry about that. Automatically record. If you're going to be recording these sessions for people who miss them or for people to review them, then I recommend checking that. Then you don't have to worry about, did I click record or not halfway through the meeting. So just click automatically record. It's already there, and you don't have to worry about it. Then you schedule it. So all of your scheduled meetings will show up here under the meetings tab, and as well as other personal information. Click on the meeting. I don't have any scheduled, but you click on one of those to show the properties of it, and then to copy the invitation to invite people before we get to him. This is what you could paste into Google Classroom to let the students know, or your participants know, here's when we're meeting, the time, and here's the link to get there, as well as the meeting ID if they just want to punch the 9-digit number into their phone app or however they want to do that. So copy this into Google Classroom and post it for your students to see. So here we are with we're in a meeting. And you can see we're talking with Obi-Wan here, and you can select your camera from the camera settings down here. You can select your microphone for the microphone settings. If your camera or microphones aren't working, you can check in these two areas to see which ones are actually selected. So there's that. Here's where you manage your participants, right down here. And you can see it's me and Lego Obi-Wan. And some things like, let's say Obi-Wan's getting unruly, and we need to either mute his microphone or camera. That's all right here. You can see next to mine. Both those are there. I actually have Obi-Wan muted already, so there's no microphone on his end. The camera is working. You can also click more. If you hover over it, click more, and you can stop their video. You can actually make them a host. That's kind of a cool thing. If you have other people presenting something, you can give them the host privileges. They can have all of the mute, unmute, silence, kick out, all those privileges available to them. You can always grab them back, so it's not like you let the meeting run wild, but you can actually give that to someone who's making a presentation. You can allow them to rename themselves, so you can rename them, or put them on hold, or if they're just out of control, not beneficial to the meeting or class time, you can remove them and say, sorry, you're going to have to watch the recording later. So all those are available there for you. Down here, under more options, you can, again, if you forgot to mute participants on entry and when you set up the meeting, you can do that here. Allow participants to mute or unmute themselves. That's up to you. When I start a meeting or class time, I like to have all of them muted when they come in, but I would like to allow them to unmute themselves, ask a question, and then mute themselves again during our time in the chat. So if you just want them to not be able to do that anymore, you can uncheck that. Allow participants to rename themselves. If you don't want them naming themselves something inappropriate, or if there's a inside joke you're not aware of and they are communicating that through there, you can disable that ability for them. Play entrance or exit sound. I like to know when people are entering or leaving the chat, or you can lock the meeting that just who's there is allowed to, is there. No one else can join after that. So all those options available to you under Manage Participants and More menu. Down here is the chat. Click on that and you can actually start a chat going on. Right here on this little menu icon, there's options to everywhere from everyone can chat, and you have a running chat bar going on the side of the screen, to all the way back to nobody can chat. And it's just you communicating with them. They can respond verbally, but however you want to set that up. Or you can have it so that they can only chat with you, so that you only see the comments. It's not a running conversation over here while you're trying to present and they're someplace else. So host only would give you that option. So share screen, which is what we're doing. You click here, it gives you some options of either screens to share or programs to share. I chose PowerPoint, which is how I'm showing this, so you can see the menu bars. If you are having sound with a PowerPoint presentation or a video you want to show, make sure that you check these options here to share your computer sound, as well as to optimize screen sharing for a video clip, so it's not jumpy and all that. It goes from your computer out to their computer. So and then you click share and it looks like this. Notice the toolbar went from the bottom of the screen to the top. Everything's still pretty much there, although there's some new additions. Again, Manage Participants is right here. Click on it. It's the same, where you can get your more options, even all the way to muting someone, make them host, to removing them, and they get to watch later. Over here, under more, the chat control is right there. So again, all the same stuff as before. Annotate. This is a fun one. There's actually the ability in Zoom for people to contribute on screen to the session. We became aware of a situation where some participants were adding inappropriate things on the screen using the annotate feature, and drawings that shouldn't be there. There's a couple ways to handle that. If you want to allow it, just kind of leave it alone. Here's what's available to you. When you click on annotate, it gives you this toolbar, and under the draw, there's all these drawing options and other things. You can change the color of what you're drawing. So you don't want this to happen to you. So that's kind of what happened in a nice way in this session we became aware of. What you can do is you can disable participants in annotation, or if you want to allow it but have a level of accountability, you can actually show the names of who's drawing or including what. And so if you have to boot them out, you can always come back and say, well, here's why we did that. So then sharing your computer sound and optimize video clip, if you forgot to do that when you're sharing your screen, That's here under the More menu as well. So those are the features that are available to you. Stop sharing. Again, Zoom, a very powerful platform, feature-rich, allows a lot of control. Hopefully this is helpful to you, and thanks for listening.